Now, on the other hand, the yielding or turning in or counterclockwise movement that shifts the weight to the inside of the foot, again, it's not shifting the weight over here because it's going to change the chain like we talked about. It's going to put things in an unsafe position. All that's talking about is that now the foot is rotating internally or rotating toward the midline of the body. The energy is going outside to inside here. So it's going toward the big toe, or you could say the little toe is turning toward the center of the foot. Basically, all the energy is going toward the inside aspect of the foot. It's not shifting the weight, like I said before. So then this is the example that we're seeing here. Someone standing on both feet, and what they're doing is they're turning their body to the left. So the expressing leg or the yang leg or the externally rotating leg is the right one. The yielding leg, the turning in, the accepting leg, the leg that is doing the counterclockwise rotation or the yin movement in this is turning in toward the center line of the body. So the feet are doing this. And it doesn't mean that they're necessarily moving like that on the ground, but the intention of that spiral through the ground is what allows the movement through the body up and away. And again, same thing on this side, it's not talking about the movement. So right now, what we could say is this person is doing like parting the horse's mane to the left. So their left arm's coming out and they're turning toward the left side of their body. This, what you're seeing on the screen, right foot going out, left foot going in, spiraling motion like that. That's what's happening through the legs. So that movement seems like kind of an expressive yang movement. And so if we were following this outside of the foot, inside of the foot idea, what would be said with that movement is that both feet are shifting the weight to the outsides of the feet. And what that's doing is it's just bowing the knees out and putting everything in kind of a precarious position rather than kind of grilling down into the ground with both legs and establishing your root as you express that movement. So again, don't confuse this saying with what's happening with the global motion of the body, the entire movement that's being done. Focus on what's happening in the legs, and it's individual to both legs. So let's come up here and we'll say the skeleton isn't particularly doing any Tai Chi move, but we'll say this arm's extended out here. This one's down at his side. He's doing parting the horse's mane. So what's happening is his torso is twisting this way, and he's sending a spiral this way toward the outside of his foot. And he's drawing a spiral up in this way toward his center. And the energy is going toward the inside of his foot or toward the midline of the body. This is going away from midline. That. So now let's talk about times in the form. We'll say the first movement, begin Tai Chi, you're coming up, coming down. Your legs are basically extending and then bending, and there's not a rotation one way or a rotation the other. What's going on with the legs? So this is an example of a time when the concept that we're working with gets more nuanced. And there's going to be times that we'll get into later on when we're actually when I'm demonstrating actual movements and exercises, where you're going to see that the global movement of the leg doesn't really match what should be done with this spiraling motion. And this is kind of one of the things where the Tai Chi movements, as you get into them and they get more kind of complex and how silk ruling's applied, gets a lot more nuanced. And so there are times when you have, like the majority of the time, you're going to have both feet going like to the left or both feet going to the right. You have the spiral to the outside with the right, the spiral to the inside with the left, or vice versa. And that's really easy to determine which foot is the outward spiral, which foot is the inward spiral. But if we look at a movement like begin Tai Chi, so you're standing with your feet shoulder width apart, you bring up the arms and then you press down, and there's no turning to the left or the right. Is there this concept of spiraling through the legs going on during that? And the answer is yes. As you're expanding or straightening the legs, there's that expansion going outward. So what you're doing with both legs is you have that sort of intention of energy spiraling down. So it's going the same like outward direction on both legs from the lower dantian down both legs and going toward the outsides of the feet. So this is where, if we were to think of it erroneously, we would think that the weight was going to the outsides of the feet, but in actuality, the energy is in that direction for both feet, right? So that's what's going on there. Now, it's important to understand that there is intention for that movement. But you don't want to overdo it, because if you overdo it, then what you're going to do is you're going to push your hips too far forward and lock out the quad or lock out the inguinal crease, lock out the hips. And that's going to decrease your stability, and it's going to make it so that you basically can't move like you should be able to move. You're not going to be able to control your center the way you should be able to control your center. So this outward intention is there, but it's more of an intention than an expressed movement. So it's more internal. You have this drilling down into the ground with both feet as you extend, and then as you bend the knees, as you drop the hands, you have an internal spiral gathering in that's kind of drawing the legs up toward your center again. And so then that would be the opposite of what we're seeing here. Get rid of all those lines. And so that would be the internal rotation intention, or going toward the insides of the feet, but not shifting your weight to the insides of the feet. And so it's this going up and that going out. Now, what you don't want to do is express that to the point where you're actually twisting your joints and putting a lot of pressure on things, especially through the knee joints and the ankles. And that's not the idea. The idea is intention of expanding and rotating down into the ground and drawing in and rotating in toward the lower dantian as you bend the knees. So expand out and rotate out, expand or draw in and rotate in intention-wise, but don't add a lot of stress to your body as you do this, right? So the intention is out, the intention is in, but the feet aren't sliding on the ground. The knees aren't buckling or pushing out. Everything's remaining in its structure, but you have the intention of these things. So that's just an example of a time when both feet are doing essentially the same thing. They're either both expressing or both kind of retracting, drawing in. And that is something that happens in the form. It is something that happens when you're practicing Tai Chi, and it is something that you need to be aware of. But this also gives us this concept of the idea of sometimes there's just an intention of the silk rilling, the spiraling, coiling motion, and not an overt expression of it. So that would be your example of that. Both feet have the intention of spiraling out, but you're not tweaking your body to try to get to that expression. Both feet have the intention of spiraling in, but you're not, again, tweaking your body and stressing your joints to try to get there. So there's a lot of subtlety in this, and it's something that you want to make sure you retain that subtlety as you practice, and you don't get so into this idea of spiraling that you actually do things that are detrimental to your health and detrimental to your joint health. Now, I was planning to talk a little bit about what the torso is doing in this video, but I think what I'm going to do is save that for the next video. I think the discussion about what's going on with the legs is kind of important enough that we just kind of keep that by itself. And in the next video, we're going to go into how we incorporate the torso and what's going on with it, and then eventually we'll get into what's going on with the arms. I hope you found this video very informative. I hope it has saved a lot of your knees and a lot of your ankles from doing strange things with your feet and shifting your weight in odd ways, rather than having a spiral motion and tension through the foot and through the leg that allows you to keep yourself safe. So if you did get something out of this video, if you did enjoy it, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. If you know anyone that would benefit from this information, or that you think would just enjoy this video, please do share this video with them. And also please consider becoming a supporting member of this channel, which basically helps ensure that more videos like this can be made available in the future. Stay safe and healthy out there. And as always, thank you for watching.